Well, hey, good afternoon. It is Friday afternoon, and here in LA. And I just thought of here at the park. As you can see, I'm here with my girl Blossom. We are enjoying this park here. Do you see that? Not too far from my loft. I just felt inspired to just talk a little bit about life kind of stuff, right? So, I don't know what it is. Especially lately, I've had a lot of people share one-on-one messages with me about what it was like caring for my parents and all that it took to do that. And of course, the passing of my dad, which was about a year ago. And all I can say is I don't know where or what 2016 was all about, other than it went by in a flash. Other than I know that my mom was rushed to the hospital around end of December into January. Then she was in there for a couple of months, and it got pretty intense for an infection that she had. And it got pretty serious, actually. Even at one point, they were going to amputate her foot. Then a couple months after that, my dad went into the hospital for his heart conditions that he's had for a number of years now. And at one point, I had two parents in hospitals. Then one went out and went to a hospice, and then the other one went out and went to another hospice. And it was just a lot of back and forth, and a lot of praying, a lot of just kind of jumping into it without thinking about a lot of things. About 2008, I used to live here in LA before I lived in Venice Beach, and I was producing events. That was my background at the time. And my dad's health started failing, and my mom was by herself. And I just knew that, okay, now's the time. I knew as a kid I would help take care of my parents. I just never knew the when. And back in '08, during that time, I kind of dropped everything, packed up everything, went to Vegas, and from 2008 to 2016, I was taking care of my parents, and watched the decline in their age and health as well. And you know, I didn't have any experience. I'm not the professional in caring for parents, let alone kids, since I don't have kids. But you know, I guess I just kind of jumped in and just did what I could and learned what I could in the moment. I was cooking for my parents. I was administering medications. I was changing diapers, you name it, I was doing it. At some point, my dad had gotten so weak toward the end that I really had to watch him carefully with his walker, because he fell many, many times. And if I wasn't there, he would have really gotten seriously hurt. One time almost falling into our glass coffee table. If I wasn't there, he would have fallen into that. But you know, 2016 was a tumultuous year. I don't know how I got through. My dad passed in April, and I handled all of the funeral arrangements. I've never done anything like that before. Eventually got my mom relocated to Northern California to our family, to live with her sister, with my Aunt Wilma and Uncle Sammy, and got her settled, and then went back to Vegas to settle the house and to liquidate things, get rid of things, distribute things to family members, and then eventually sell the house. And in September of last year, which is already a year now, I can't believe how time flies, I moved here to Los Angeles to try to pick up my life again and rebuild. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about the clothing line. I couldn't get any work. That's the truth of it. Moving back to Vegas, the economy was so depressed, and being in the events industry for 25 years, my resume looked a little intimidating for some employers. They just automatically classified me as overqualified or they couldn't afford me. So the truth of it is, I couldn't get work, and was really desperate and was worried and was picking up odd-end jobs here and there. But thanks to a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, he challenged me and said, you know, why don't you get back into fashion design? You've never done anything like that. And I graduated over 25, 30 years ago. Yeah, not that. And in fashion design with my bachelor's in fashion, and I never did anything with it. Luckily, and the way the universe pushed me, the clothing line was birthed. And I'll say that I made the best I could in Las Vegas to build the line. Meanwhile, the main priority was taking care of my parents. Um, but it wasn't the easiest place to build a clothing line. I made a lot of connections, made a lot of networks, had a few clients here and there, had a lot of people that just rah-rah cheered and supported me, which I'll forever be grateful for. But the truth of the matter is, to build a clothing line, which is a business that I'm not familiar with at all, other than I styled many models for many, many, many years, worked in retail, produced fashion shows, but to build a clothing line, and this is all aside from design, but the business itself, I had no clue of. So, did my best to learn while I was in Vegas, and then a year ago moving here to Los Angeles, I thought, it's a bigger city. It's going to be a little bit easier for me to get a job in events while I build a clothing line, and it's not been the case. And I've had such wonderful cheerleaders and praise and support by so many out there in social media worlds, many dear friends that have said, go, 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 Joe, you're doing great, you're awesome. And the truth is, I'm grateful to be able to share my craft as a designer, but it hasn't been the easiest road. Financially, that is, it's been rough. I've not had consistent income, and it's been hard to find work also because here in LA I'm classified as overqualified in the events world. So, gosh, I don't know if I just make up my resume and lie about it and say I've never done events before in my life, and I'm not that kind of person to lie. I'm straight up, honest, upfront, wear my emotions on my sleeve, which can be the best of me sometimes, get the best of me at sometimes. But just like I'm sharing this video, I feel like a lot of people have reached out and asked me a few things about how it was like, what it was like, or sharing their experiences of taking care of their parents in the older ages, and also just praising me on how great and successful they think I am based on social media. And I guess I'd say I've been really blessed and lucky for many of my designs to get a lot of accolades and recognition and praised by a lot of people. But the truth of it is, I'm still a burgeoning designer and artist. I need help, and maybe sharing this video is part of that honesty and just being honest and vulnerable, and that it hasn't always been positive and happy. And maybe what people see on my social media is I'm always this happy, cheerful, happy-go-lucky guy, and it's not always that. I worry a lot. I worry about, how do I live and survive? Will I live and survive? 2016, a week before my dad passed, I had a really beautiful, sweet parrot, one of my birds, nurtured her back to health. She was a rescue bird, and she became really close with me and me with her. And out of the blue, she died. I was devastated. Exactly a week to the day that my bird died, my father passed. And then the rest was just such a huge, heavy emotional roller coaster. I don't know where 2016 went. I don't know how I got through it. What I will say is I would do that all over again and take care of my parents. I cherish the time I had with both my parents, the quality time, because that I'll forever take with me and cherish every second. And the best lesson I learned taking care of my parents, which I kind of took for granted as a younger person, was the preciousness of time. I would see my parents come up and down the stairs in our house, or just look across the dinner table watching them eat, and just being thankful minute by minute, like, wow, I get to spend time with my mom and dad again. I've got another minute, another second, another breath. And the 8 years went by so fast. Next thing I knew, my dad was gone. Next thing I knew, I had to relocate my mom and get rid of the house and then try to pick up my own self. And, honestly, it's been a little bit of a depression here and there. And I get it. I understand people go through these deep, dark places, and I certainly have. I may not have shown it here on my social media. I was advised at one point by several people to say, hey, don't share your personal stuff on there. But you know what? I'm a licensed lay minister, and I've been a spiritual counselor for over 15 years. And to me, being honest and real and vulnerable and who I am, hopefully is an inspiration to somebody else, such that it gives them permission to say, hey, you know what? You're not alone. And tough times do come along now and then on the path. and that you're never alone, and it's never the end, and that there's always hope, and to always have faith, and that prayer works. Right now I'm just in a really tough time this past week, just kind of figuring things out. I really wish that here's my wish list, so maybe if I put it out into the universe, it'll come back, or answers, or advice, or direction. But I really want to build my clothing line. I know who I am as an artist and as a designer, but I'm not the best in business. So I need somebody to just guide me and hold my hand through the proper business plan so that I can forward that out and introduce it to potential investors. That's the part too, is investors. I don't have any. Everything, living, I don't know how I've managed a year not having regular salary, but a couple of dress sales here and there, a couple of coaching sessions here and there, but somehow I've made it past a year, and I'm so grateful of that. But I don't want to be in this place of worrying again financially. I want to know that I have income coming in, a salary. I want to know that I'm passionate and being able to do what I can as my craft, that the business is up and running, that it's profitable, that if any investors come in, that there's definitely a return on their investments and then some. I know that I'm good as a designer. I don't want to sound cocky, but I'm passionate about it and I love it, and that's why I can say I'm good. I've been doing fashion since I was a kid, way even before I built my event career, and I just want to be able to showcase my stuff. You know, I was talking yesterday to a friend of mine. I don't think I'll ever leave the events world because I love producing and designing amazing events and environments and parties as well, and planning and producing great gigs. But I feel like that kid, my events background kid, is like the college graduate kid. So that kid's mature, graduated, and in the blink of my eye, I can produce events in a minute. I've got sources and resources everywhere to make that happen. But my clothing line is like the infant, and it's been the infant for a couple of years now. I'm still changing its diapers. I still got to feed it, but I really want it to grow. I want it to become a kid, and then an adolescent, and then a teenager, and it also to be a thriving adult, just like my events kid, if that makes any sense. So I'm just at a loss. I really am trying to figure out how to do life. You know, I left for the Philippines, and luckily that was all sponsored and taken care of about a month ago. So there wasn't a lot of pocket money out of my pocket for that, fortunately, but it was a great time. But you know, the week before I had to do that, I had to put down my cat, and he was my 20-year-old boy. And he was, you know, the signs that my cat was showing was exactly the signs that my dad was showing in his latter months and latter weeks, and I had to relive it all over again. I think the hard part, putting my cat down, is I've never done anything like that. My animals are my kids. I'm a single gay man that has loved animals for all my life, and I've treated my animals and spoiled my animals like my kids. And when it was time to ever put any animal down, my dad did that, and he was so, courageous to be able to do that. He would not allow our family members to see or experience that, but he would do it. But I could only imagine the emotions that he went through to do that for our family, because we've lost dogs and other animals that my dad's put down. But to put Zeus down and to have him die in my arms with the vets, it was devastating. And regardless of my cat living 20 years or my dad living 91 years, those are just numbers. You know, they're loved ones in my life that I know from a spiritual perspective they'll be with me forever, but I miss them so much. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I may be a middle-aged 50-year-old something guy, but I don't want to grow up. I don't want to be a kid. I don't want to be a man. My dad was the man. He did everything and taught me, and I guess I'm kind of being force-fed to grow up now and figure out life, and it's not the easiest thing. I hope that my share here and being vulnerable is kind of just letting you in to my life, letting you know that, hey, it's not always that easy, and my life isn't that easy. And what people see on my social media, and I'm like this successful, wealthy fashion designer, and I'm a fashion designer, yeah. I just want to get my dresses out to a bigger expression and out into the world more. And I also want it to be profitable and make it a really fun, amazing business. And I need help with that. So if any of you would like to come in and help me as business experts, marketing experts, God, my website is horrendous. Although oh my God, I'm so grateful to a friend of mine that put that up in a few minutes a year ago. But I just know that it could be better, and it was just we were a short amount of time with no budget, and we put that thing up just for now. But I need help with my website. I need help with investors, and I really want to just really build my brand big. And I also want to just show to my dad and to my mom and all the success and all of the amazing leadership they taught me that, yeah, I got it in me, and I'm going to do this as well. And there's no room for failure. It just does not and will not exist. And while I might be challenged right now in my life trying to figure out life and how to survive, I will make this happen. So mark my word on this day in August, on Friday afternoon, that it's going to be bigger and it's going to be better, and I don't know the how, but I'm going to make it happen. So thank you for allowing me to be honest and vulnerable and to share me a little bit. I hope that I've not misconstrued or misled anybody thinking that I'm this successful, wealthy. I've had people think that I was like a millionaire. They're asking me for money, and it's like, God, I wish I had it, and I don't have it. But I'm gonna have it, and I will make it happen, and I'll build it even if it's one gown at a time. So my little Blossom and I here in this beautiful park in LA, we wish you bountiful blessings wherever you are. And if you're having any challenges, don't be alone with it. Share it out. I think I was getting a little bit depressed this last week, hiding in my room, in my bed, under my covers. This is the first time I was like, I gotta get out. And I just gotta get out. I'll take Blossom with me, but I just gotta get out and just get off my chest some of the challenges that are going on. So peace, blessings, and much aloha to you. And I wish and pray for all and only the best for you, and cradle you in a big, giant, loving, blessed hug. And know that Joey and Blossom are so blessed and lucky to at least have a roof over our heads, and that we're going to make it. We're going to survive, and we're going to make it big. Stay tuned for more. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend ahead. Bye-bye.